Are you part of the problem? Or are you part of the answer? When you're in your Grace Marriage sessions, that will be some of the most important time you spend together as a couple, because you're dealing with issues, you're planning time together, you're looking at things big picture, you're connecting at a deeper level. It's intentional, it's structured. Welcome to the Grace Marriage Podcast. I'm Brad Rhoads.
And I'm Marilyn Rhoads. We're here to help you build a marriage that's stronger, more connected, and full of grace.
I'm Rick Dayton, joining Brad and Marilyn as we bring you weekly conversations designed to inspire and equip you to live intentionally in your marriage.
We'll share practical tips, powerful stories, and strategies to help you and your spouse grow closer and thrive together.
So whether you're just starting out or have been married for years, there's always room to grow. Let's do this together. This is the Grace Marriage Podcast.
This is Brad Rhoads with the Grace Marriage Podcast. I'm here with a good friend, somebody that is responsible for helping thousands of marriages all over the country, and somebody I'm honored to work with here at Grace Marriage. I'm here with Jeremy Bennett.
Hey, Brad.
Hey, Jeremy. So what Jeremy and I are going to do is we get a lot of input from churches and couples as to what kind of the challenges are to investing in marriage. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a series of podcasts where we address the reasons people in churches say we're not going to invest in marriage. And hopefully it'll help you overcome that obstacle. So today, Jeremy, how do you feel about starting with one? We are too busy. And we'll start with the couple. Do you ever hear we're too busy?
Yes, I do. And for a lot of different reasons, whether it's kids' activities or whether it's just busyness with work. And some Grace Marriage sessions happen on weekends. So Saturday morning, you wake up and you're like, I'm just too busy. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's too busy. I mean, if you wait till you're not busy to invest in your marriage, I can make you promise you'll never invest in your marriage. Because I'm 58 and I'm extremely busy. When I was 28, I was extremely busy. And if I think, well, I'm going to wait to a point where I'm less busy so I can grow and invest in marriage, I'm going to be waiting till I'm buried.
Yeah. And we hear people say, couples will say, or even internally, I'm sure we've probably thought from time to time, if I could just get past this season, it's such a busy season. If I could just get past this, everything will settle down and we can invest in our marriage again.
Yeah.
A new season follows that season.
Yeah, it's like one book I said, it's not a season, it's life. It's like, when we had really young kids, we had 5 kids. We were really busy. Adult kids keep you really busy. My wife's in Houston right now, helping them get settled. One of them to get settled in an apartment. It's always busy. It's always something. It's just a matter of making a decision of where marriage stands on your priority list, because everybody's busy. It's just a matter of what gets priority of time.
How do you think, let me rewind a little bit, because I've been in a Grace Marriage group since 2012. Rachel and I have been in a group. And I would say probably somewhere around 2014, and this was before I came to work full-time with Grace Marriage. I called you because you were the facilitator in those early days, and still are. But I called you the night before and I said, Brad, work's been tough. We've had a lot of busyness, a lot of stuff going on with the kids. We're not going to be at our Grace Marriage group tomorrow. And your words to me were, Jeremy, if you're telling me that this season is as busy and stressful as you say it is, and that you need just some time with Rachel to chill out, you will not have the kind of conversations that are necessary just staying home. And you said, I'll see you tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Why did you, and that really was shepherding in that moment. You could have said, oh yeah, I understand. You guys just take some time away. But your mind was less about just spending time together and really making sure that we were being proactive with that time. And we wouldn't have been. What could we do to help couples make that paradigm shift? Because that was a pivotal moment for me, because I began to shift the way I thought about my time.
Yeah, it's the urgent will always squeeze out the most important. And when you're in your grace marriage sessions, that will be some of the most important time you spend together as a couple, because you're dealing with issues, you're planning time together, you're looking at things big picture, you're connecting at a deeper level. It's intentional, it's structured, and there will always be pressures to compromise the most important. And it's just a matter of just saying, I won't schedule over my marriage. I'm never going to be too busy to invest in marriage. And no matter what happens, other than some tragedy or something way out of the ordinary, I will not miss a session. So, like, we had a season where we had our oldest kid was starting college. She was looking for a college. Well, she was going to run cross country, and it was Tiger Days. That was when they bring in all the athletes for the big weekend of recruiting, and it fell on the same day as our marriage coaching. And I told Madeline, I said, Madeline, I don't schedule over your mom. I said, we invest in our marriage. We don't schedule over it. That's an important thing. Your grandmother can take you to that. I will go see that college with you, but I won't see it that particular day, because I know that if I compromise one time or compromise a couple times, I will quit investing intentionally. I love what Atomic Habits says. It's easier to do something 100% of the time than 90% of the time. And we're always going to be too busy. There's always going to be a good reason not to invest. There's always going to be a good reason not to date. And as a result, there's so many good reasons not to do it. Complacency and stagnancy becomes a norm in marriage, and you have two fatigued, tired spouses going through life side by side. And the good part of marriage, the fun, the physical intimacy, the deep connection, it gets squeezed out because we're too busy. And I love what my mentor said. Your time is your chips, and you get to play with your chips. So at one time I would have said I had excuses. He said, no, you don't have excuses. You have responsibility. You choose. You choose. If you want to spend time with Marilyn, you can. If you want to spend time doing something else, you can.
Yeah, because on Saturday morning you wake up and you're like, okay, I haven't had time to spread mulch this week. I've been tired after work. So on Saturday morning, it's a choice between mulch or investing in my marriage. And for a lot of people, that's a real decision in that moment when it really shouldn't be. It's like, okay, I'll figure out when we're going to do mulch, or I'll have one of the kids do it, or I'll pay somebody to do it. But we're investing in our marriage because it's the most important horizontal relationship we have. But unfortunately, that's a real decision that happens on Saturday mornings, or, a multitude of other things.
Yeah. I mean, I've got 20 things on my list now. My oil change is overdue. Marilyn's car is a mess and I need to clean it up. And I mean, I've got 20 things on the list. And if I'm waiting until my list is caught up to intentionally invest in Marilyn, I'm not going to do it. And the things, this isn't just about your grace marriage session. This is about your weekly time together. Because like when we come up on our date night this week, well, we've both got 10 things that we need to do that we haven't done that we could do during that time instead of just stopping and enjoying relational. I think it goes to the Mary and Martha thing, that Martha, 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 you worry about many things, but Mary chose the better. And I'm telling you, marriage is the better. But it's so easy to choose these other things. I love somebody said, you're going to die with a list. And it is frustrating because as soon as you get one thing done, there's 3 more things to do.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side of that, if I woke up on Saturday morning and I knew my kids had an event, and we may get into kids in a later episode, but if I woke up and my kids had a soccer game and I thought to myself, I have mulch or I have soccer, I'm going to choose soccer. Like it's an automatic thing. It's almost like it's not even a choice. I'll figure out how to do mulch because the kids have this going on. But if it's marriage, then there's a conflict in my mind. Like, why do you think that we have that conflict with marriage, but we don't have it with kids events?
Because for some reason we think marriage is just supposed to work. It's just supposed to work. I mean, we're fine. We're okay. Marriage is supposed to work. We committed to each other. We're in the same house. We're fine. We're okay. Marriage is just supposed to work. We know kids won't develop without intentionality. They need intentional love. This stuff isn't going to get done by itself. But there's this myth that marriage is going to be fine on autopilot. And the reality is most couples just find a norm they can tolerate, or one of them decides, I don't like this norm anymore and I want out. So it's a paradigm shift where Like everything else, the more I put into it, the better it is. The more time, the more creative energy, the more money, the more effort, the better it is. And the reason marriage is such a good investment, because when you pour into that, it makes everything else better. Because when you have a great marriage, your kids have a better atmosphere to grow up in. You have more confidence. You have more life. God gets more glory. Scripture says, "Let marriage be held in honor among all." It's a paradigm shift, because right now there are very few forces that press people toward one another in marriage. There are tons of forces that press you away: work, church activities, kids activities, things that need to be done around the house. All these are all pulling you away. And there are things that need to be done and they're important, but we want to be a grace marriage, that force that pushes you toward one another, that marital peer pressure that says, hey, marriage is important. We're going to protect it and we're going to grow it. And and right now, from an external standpoint, there are not a lot of pressures there.
Yeah, and I assume that's what's leading to the gray divorce rates of those 55 and older and 65 and older. All of the investment
Yeah.
has gone into the kids, and then over a period of 20 years or so, there's been a drift.
Yeah, what happens is they've been busy for years. And then all of a sudden, you're not as busy because all the kids are gone. And then because you haven't invested in your marriage, you don't want to get busy together. I mean, it's like people, I mean, people that have great marriages leading up to empty nest, they can't wait to get busy.
Yeah.
And I'm talking
Yeah,
get busy
yeah,
couple. Because I mean, like I know one couple was like, man, we can't. They were looking forward to an empty nest and saying, well, we'll get hotel rooms, we'll go different places, we'll have more financial flexibility if the kids actually leave the payroll. But but yeah, I think there are multiple factors on gray divorce, because the divorce rate between those 50 and above and 65 and whatever, that's the only divorce rate that's increased significantly, doubled or tripled, depending on your stats.
yeah.
But I do think it's because if you don't invest in something consistently, then all of a sudden you have a lot of time together and you're both kind of grieving the loss of your kids. It's a recipe for some real issues.
Sure, sure. Shifting just briefly to talking to church leaders. A lot of times, if a couple doesn't show up to a session, they don't maybe have people calling them and giving them a heads up like I gave you. They don't maybe have their facilitator. Maybe they're not calling their facilitator saying, "Hey, we're not going to be able to be there tomorrow." So they don't have really maybe anything preemptively to do. But how would you encourage church leaders and facilitators to help thwart the drift that happens? Because if they miss once, then they miss twice, and they miss three times. And obviously there are emergencies that are going to happen, and we all have things that come up that aren't preventable, but the far majority can be. So how would you encourage pastors, church leaders, facilitators to encourage their couples?
Shepherd. I mean, shepherd. Shepherding is guiding people in the right direction. And when they go the wrong direction, redirecting them. So somebody misses because they're too busy, have the conversation that we're having today with them and say, hey, we love you too much to let other things take precedence over your marriage. And to borrow from Tim Keller, if anything comes ahead of your marriage other than Jesus, your marriage will slowly die. And we love you as a church leader, and we don't want your marriage to slowly die. It's bad for you, bad for your wife, bad for the gospel, bad for the kids. So what you do is you shepherd. You don't let people be conformed to the patterns of the world. You preach against a child-centered society. You preach against busyness squeezing out marriage. As the church becomes the peer pressure that pushes people toward marriage. Husband, wife, Christ, the church. Marriage becomes a gospel magnet. The church is stronger because marriages are stronger. But when the church is silent, and the church just, well, darn, it's just, I can't get people to show up, can't get people to sign up, can't get people to date. That's just the world we live in. Well, that is not shepherding. That's allowing people to be conformed to patterns of the world. That's letting the world to dictate priorities as opposed to church dictating priorities. And when that happens, things get upside down. So when your church teaches a different paradigm in doing life, where marriage is prioritized, where marriage is given time each week, where marriage investment in your church's marriage ministry is normative, the only thing that'll change is everything.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And if I was a couple, and this was the last time you could talk to me. If I'm listening to this podcast for the first time and, I'm getting ready to head into my session, maybe in a couple of weeks, what would you tell me?
Show up. Just time block, exit off, and just say, we're going to have a policy in our marriage that we're not going to miss. And every time we're tempted to miss, we're going to use it as a gospel opportunity and say, well, why can't you come to my soccer game? Well, son, marriage is my most important horizontal relationship. I don't schedule over your mom. Hey, daughter, marriage is my most important relationship. I don't schedule over your dad. We need to have a great marriage. And then block off time each week. And then every time somebody asks you to violate that time, oh, hey, I'd love to. But I've got that time set aside for Marilyn. I don't schedule over Marilyn. But man, I hope maybe another day. So my advice would be just make a line in the sand and say, we're going to live countercultural. We're going to live a prioritized marriage life, not a secondary marriage life. And we're going to have a marriage that attracts people to it, that make people want to have one like we have.
Yeah.
And it's tough because you get on each other's nerves. You're tired. You feel like you're doing. There are marriage issues themselves that are barriers. So if you're doing well, we don't need to do because we don't need to go because we're doing well. If we're not doing well, we don't really want to go because we're not doing well and it's not going to be any fun. I mean, it's like, okay, everything is a reason not to invest. I mean, we hear it. Why didn't you go? Well, we're doing great. Why didn't you go? Because we're doing bad. Why didn't you go? Because we're busy. There's always going to be a million reasons not to show up and invest. But the bottom line, I don't know that I've ever had a couple that showed up and then said, man, we regret showing up.
And it's a cultural battle. I mean, we're getting busier. We're getting distracted. We've got social media. We've got kids, travel, sports. We've got all of these things to take away our attention from our marriage. And culture isn't shifted in a day. It's shifted over a period of time. So even inside the culture, from a messaging standpoint, you just can't preach on message or on marriage one time or mention marriage ministry one time and expect that to change the culture. It's got to be something that's integrated from a messaging standpoint, from just part of the DNA of your body. Hopefully younger kids are looking around in the congregation saying, I can't wait to have a marriage like that. I can't wait to have a marriage like that one. I can't wait to have a marriage like mom and dad, because they see that investment. They don't see it getting the leftovers.
Yeah, encourage one another while it's still today. And I just ask you, if you're a church leader or if you're at a church, does your church encourage you to invest in marriage on a consistent basis?
Mm.
And if they don't, they should be.
Yeah.
Because if we shifted and marriage was primary, marriage got first fruits of time, it brought honor to husband, wife, Christ in the church. It would literally make every ministry of the church and every evangelistic effort in the church 10 times more effective. And from a legacy standpoint, I mean, you think about the stakes in marriage. If it goes really well and you're having a blast and you're doing great, your kids if it goes bad and it breaks down and there's child support and step parents and multiple sets of grandparents and financial struggle and relational struggle and bitterness and hatred and lawyers and all that stuff. I mean, the chasm between great and horrible with marriage is massive, from the best joy to the worst pain. And when you invest, you promote the joy, the best joy, and you move toward it, but you move toward avoiding that pain. And just to encourage couples, you don't see instant results. I mean, if I go to the gym today, I'm not going to feel more healthy tomorrow than I felt today by going to the gym. But if I go consistently over a long period of time, I'm going to be more healthy and in better shape. And if you commit, I'm going to show up to my sessions consistently. I'm going to spend time with my spouse every single week. You'll look up a year from now, so you'll have a super solid marriage and you'll feel closer than you've ever felt. But if you go once and then date twice and say it didn't work, it's like joining the gym, going 3 times and say it didn't make me fit.
Yeah. And it's like any other investment. I mean, it's the same thing with your retirement. If you invest $100 today and expect to be able to retire tomorrow, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be immediate. And guess what? You keep investing over years, the market's going to tank at times, and it's going to go down, and it's going to come up, and it's going to go down. But you have a long-term vision that's carrying your investment mentality. And I think a lot of times we don't have a long-term vision for a marriage. So, we've just got, oh, I'm going to do this thing, but there's no long-term vision that's carrying that process.
And you're right. You can't change the culture in a day, but you can change the culture in your home in a day.
Mm.
I mean, you can change the culture in your home in a day. You can just tell your spouse, the culture from here forward is we're going to invest in marriage. Christ can glory for marriage. We're going to spend time together a week, and we're not going to miss that. You can make that decision today. So, and if Lord moved and a massive amount of people change the culture in their home in a day, it would certainly greatly expedite the change of culture in our society. So what people don't realize that a failure to invest in their marriage, it perpetuates a failed marriage culture. So you're part of the problem. When you invest in your marriage consistently, you show up for your marriage sessions, you support your church's marriage ministry, you are part of the answer. So I would just ask each couple right now, as it relates to our intentional investment in our marriage, are you part of the problem? Are you part of the answer? And you can choose to be either. We just need, if we can get it a majority, they're part of the answer. Hey, we got our answer.
Yeah. What would it look like if our marriages weren't conformed to the patterns of the world?
I mean, I do crisis marriage counseling. I love doing crisis marriage counseling because God's more powerful than they think he is. He's more relationally supernatural than you think he is. And I'll say, I need you to spend 5 hours a week together, just the two of you, every week, away from kids, away from everything. I said, because time is a container a marriage grows in. And if you don't have significant time, you can't ever grow in your marriage. Small time, small marriage, big time, big marriage. Brad, I get it. And I said, but even the research shows it. You look at the Gottman research, the Magic Five, all this stuff. I said, okay, I get it. But Brad, we just can't. You don't understand. My job's this, her job's this, our kids in dance, we got this. I said, let me do the math. You're spending 15 hours a week in child dance. You're near the point of divorce. You're talking to a crisis marriage counselor, and you're telling me you don't have 5 hours a week for one another, and your whole family's going to implode, and you're both smart people. Does that make a stinking lick of sense to you? Well, I don't know. I mean, people drive 2 hours for softball pitching lessons. They drive an hour for dance lessons. They drive an hour and a half for golf lessons. They pay $80 an hour for golf lessons. They do all these things for their kids. And then when you say, can you spend a little money dating and investing in your marriage? Oh man, I wish. Maybe in another world. You can. And life is so much better. And we had a couple change the way we did marriage, because we didn't date once a week. We didn't spend time together. We were very busy. We were that couple that said we couldn't. And we had somebody that really pressured us and said, if you're too busy for marriage, you're too busy, or you've got jacked up priorities. And so we decided that we're going to date every week, and we started doing it. And man, it just changed everything. I'll be forever grateful to Bill and Joe Barron for not accepting no for an answer. Because I said no a bunch of times, and he kept telling me I was wrong. And then finally I said yes, and now I say thank you.
Yeah, and I know we're maybe running a little bit close on time, but speak to the older generation that says we have a ton of time together, and every night's a date night.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of getting close to that generation, JB. I'm 58 with one kid left in the home. Last night, my kid spent the night at a friend's house, and I was just there by myself. So it wasn't like, it's like.
What's the difference between having a lot of time together, eating together, and being intentional?
It takes intentional investment in marriage. Just because you have time together doesn't mean you're growing your marriage or you're protecting your marriage. I mean, Meryl and I can be in the same house for 6 straight hours together and absolutely have no investment in our marriage what's so stinking ever.
Yep.
I mean, I'm on my phone, I'm watching a show, I go outside, I do a couple things, she does her thing, she mills around, she watches a little TV, I watch a little TV. I grab something real quick for dinner. She grabs real something for dinner. Unless we plan investment where we're really trying to talk and connect, I mean, you can be just as disconnected in the home together as you are outside of the home together.
Yeah.
So for us, now I can't speak to every couple, we have to leave our home on dates to have good connecting dates.
Sure.
The reason being, Marilyn has this view that everything in the house has to be perfect. We don't share that same home theology. But when we're in the home, what clothes need to be washed, dishes need to be done. Oh my goodness, the dog stinks. Brad, can you wash the dog? I mean, for us to get away and connect, we have to do it away from home. Now, some can intentionally connect and have great, good home date nights. We just don't happen to fall in that camp.
Yeah. Yeah. And intentionality, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of times, probably for our older generation, is the things that we used to do that were fun, we just don't do anymore. We default to just not having fun or finding new things to do because we've suddenly arrived after we've been married 50 years to whatever arrival is in our marriage.
And there's a book, and I don't remember the exact name of it, but it said as you get older, it gets easier and easier to say no to fun stuff because it's easier. Because you're just tired.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to go to the game? My best seat's on the couch. I got a better view. I can see the whole thing. Do you want to go to concerts? No, I can just pull it up on Spotify. Do you want to? It's like it just gets easier and easier to do less and less fun things together. And I think it's not only bad for marriage, but it's bad for you individually.
Yeah.
I mean, to compliment my parents, they're in their 80s, and man, I know they're tired, and I know they have health problems, but dude, they keep going. I mean, he just got out of the hospital, and he said, 2 Sundays from now, how do you want to go down to Catfish Dock down in Muhlenberg County and have a family lunch? Well, I know where he is. It's painful to drive that far, but man, I think it's why he's still alive, why he's still fruitful, and why their marriage is still good.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's continue this conversation because busyness is a beast and busyness isn't going away. In our next episode, we're going to kind of talk some strategies to beat it because right now for most it's busy 1, you 0. And we're going to try to flip that for you next episode. So JB, thanks for being on the podcast with me. We'll pick it up next episode.
Sounds good.
Thank you for joining us on the Grace Marriage Podcast. We really hope you're feeling inspired to take intentional steps to grow in your marriage.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us spread the message of grace and reach even more couples.
And if you have a moment, please leave us a review. Your feedback means a lot to us and helps others discover the podcast.
To learn more about how you can grow in your marriage, visit us at gracemarriage.com. Keep building stronger, grace-filled marriages.
We'll see you next week on the Grace Marriage Podcast. Until then, keep growing in grace.